It's your boy Mike from Naps to Nurture, Nappy the Head, Nurture the Body. This video is gonna be more of a chit chat. It's talking about my thoughts on veganism to a degree and the black church. I want to mainly this one's mainly towards speaking on the black church. So one thing that I've noticed is since I've gone vegan and just kind of compared veganism in a parallel comparison to my walk of Christ. For those who don't know, I'm a Christian. I follow Christ. I do my best to follow him and chase after him every day and align and pattern my life according to the teachings, according to our relationship, and just being able to stay on track and to be the best that I can be in my walk with Christ. So I was noticing that within the black church there are things that are very clear and that are really straightforward when it comes to our walk and what's allowed and what isn't allowed. We know can't steal, can't commit murder, don't commit adultery, don't lie, don't covet what your neighbor has, or be envious and things like that. The simple basic things, and these are things that we ensure that we don't do because we feel that it draws distance between us and God, and therefore we miss out on a lot of our blessings. Let me pick this up here. We feel like we miss out on a lot of our blessings, and like I said, we can quickly adjust that and weed out those actions. We know that us drinking alcohol and things like that, smoking and things like that, damages our body and draws distance between us and God, and in the long run ends up ruining some of the blessings and spoiling some of the blessings that we could get if we were to align ourselves properly with God and his plan and purpose for our lives. But for some odd reason, when it comes to food, especially in the black church, we struggle. It's almost like we don't even really see what it is that we're doing and how it's affecting us. Don't laugh, Myra. We won't see how it's affecting us. So it was some Facebook article, and it was talking. I think it was a Boondocks episode, and he was talking about the movie Soul Food, and saying how, excuse me, Soul Food was basically a movie where it was centered around a grandmother, and how she every Sunday was tradition where she would cook for the family. Everybody would come to the table and they would eat and just talk and just be a family, and socialize and laugh and things like that. And it was those moments that brought the family closer together. And she would cook a enormous amount of food because it was a very nice sized family. And she eventually got sick to the point where she had to get her leg amputated. And from that, later on, she ended up passing away in the film. If I remember it correctly. I'm just paraphrasing what I remember when I heard from the video earlier. And the family, they had the funeral, and that at the funeral they were serving some of the same foods that she was eating on her diet, which caused her ailment. And it was just weird how we as black people, we don't look at food as an enemy until it's almost too late. I don't say look at food as an enemy, but a potential enemy. Because not all food is bad. There's a lot of good beneficial food out there. It just depends on how we're nourishing our bodies with it, and what are we using to nourish our bodies. Um, there was like I said, she ended up passing away from the ailment, and the ailment was mainly and primarily caused by her diet, such having a poor diet. And like I said, she passed away. We'll go to the funeral or to the repast, and we'll eat the exact same food, sometimes in larger amounts because we're grieving or we're in a process of mourning and things like that. We as blacks, we love our food to have a great taste, which usually involves salt or some form of salt and an excess amount of it. It's a lot of frying, a lot of heavy oils, things like that. And it's just the way that we eat. Sometimes we don't think that it's an issue. Thanksgiving come around, and it's almost like we're trying to prove who can eat the most, type thing. And we don't realize that we hurt ourselves, and for some reason it's just hard for us to let go of. Sorry, it's hard for us to let go of food. And I wanted to make a video kind of concerning that and get other people's opinion on it. What is it about food that we can't really just put our foot down and say no to? We can do that to other things, like I explained earlier. Few examples of the 10 Commandments. We can put our foot down when it comes to sexuality, differences and issues and things like that. We can put our foot down when it comes to politics. What side do you stand on, Republican or Democrat? Are you a liberal? Are you a conservative? Or things like that. And we can put our foot down for that. For some odd reason, food is extremely hard for us to do that with. A lot of us struggle with just saying, you know what? No, I don't need this. No, I don't want that. With becoming a vegan, one of the things that I hear all the time from people who are non-vegan is, I can't give up my cheese. I can't give up my eggs. Things like that. And it's just odd to me how a person will allow that to come out of their mouths, especially in the kingdom of Christ. In our church, you will see people who completely leave certain sins alone, but can turn around and say, "Oh, I can't give up this, I can't give up that." But you mention adultery, and it's like, "Oh no, I'm not going to take part in that." You mention fornication, no, I won't take part in that. You mention different things that you can do that would, I guess, shed a negative light on you within the church, or jeopardize your relationship with God. We can easily put those things down and put our foot down about them. But for some odd reason, when it comes to food, we don't look at food as if it's something that we need to put our foot down about. We look at it like it's it's an option. It's a choice. It's something that we can change and interchange day by day. And we don't really look at the true hazard of what we're putting inside of our bodies. We just figured, hey, either I'm young and I don't have to worry about it, or I'm too old to try to worry about it now. And it's just, as I said, it kind of goes back to my question of, why food? What is it about food that does that? And I believe, one of the reasons why is because food is can be a comforting sort of thing. People may feel like I could be doing way worse. I could be out robbing banks or in the streets kind of thing, or selling some drugs or whatever the case. Selling, whatever the case. And with food, it's such a harmless outlet, or at least that's what it seems. But once it becomes to the fact where that's the only way we know how to express ourselves, if we're sad, we want to go out to eat. If we're happy and celebrating something, we go out to eat. if we're bored at home, we on our off day, we get to the fridge and we go look for something to eat. Sitting in the house bored, ain't got nothing to do. You know, just got through eating a couple hours ago, and now already you're ready to go back to find something else to eat. You know, and it's just those bad habits. You know, I think it's such a comforting thing, and I can speak for myself and say that, you know, I love food. You know, people say I eat to live, and it's like me. I would say that I did live to eat, and I'm getting away from that now. But just starting to ask the question to myself as of why food? You know, what is it about food that we can't put our foot down and just call it black and white? You know, we gotta make a little gray area for ourselves to kind of participate in, and it's just weird. But yeah, I don't want to make this video too long. It's already 11 minutes. But what do you guys think about that? You know, what is your thought process on for veganism specifically, especially for the black church? You know, what is it about the black church that we struggle with that? I see so many ministers and pastors and bishops and things like that, reverends, and you know, a lot of them are completely overweight, on high blood pressure medicine, on you know, on medication, you know, diabetic, things like that. And those, you know, not all the time, but for the most part, those stem from the, you know, excessively poor diets. You know, what is it about that causes us to not pay attention to how we're defiling ourselves with everything else we do? What's your guys' thoughts?